Bulgari and Eyoiv made a mistake, or was this a carefully planned marketing strategy? Perhaps it was simply their way of honoring two true world champions. Around the same time in 2026, both luxury brands made the exact same decision. They chose Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara only weeks after the pair announced their retirement from competitive figure skating. That raises an interesting question. Why now? Why wait until after retirement instead of signing them while they were still competing? Normally, companies want active athletes at the peak of their careers. They're constantly in the headlines, preparing for major competitions and appearing in the media. Their victories keep public attention focused on both the athlete and the brand. But Bulgari and Eyoiv went in the opposite direction. Instead of choosing active champions, they invested in two athletes whose competitive careers had just ended. Was that a miscalculation, or did they recognize something that many people overlooked, that Riku and Ruichi became even more valuable after retirement? To understand the answer, we first need to understand these two brands. Bulgari, founded in 1884, has spent more than 140 years building its reputation as one of Italy's most prestigious luxury jewelry houses. Throughout its history, its campaigns have featured global supermodels, Hollywood icons, royalty, and some of the world's most recognizable public figures. Airweave represents a different kind of excellence. Known for its premium mattresses and recovery products, the Japanese company has partnered with many of the country's greatest active athletes, including baseball legend Ichiro Suzuki and superstar Shohei Ohtani. Luxury brands don't simply sell products, they sell emotions. They sell dreams, they sell stories that people want to become part of. So what story are Bulgari and Eyoiv trying to tell through Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara? And is that story genuine or carefully crafted? The answer begins on the day every figure skating fan knew would eventually come. Everyone expected it, everyone feared it. But when the announcement finally appeared on screen, fans across Japan fell silent. Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara, better known around the world as Rikuryu, officially announced their retirement from competitive skating. For many, it felt like the end of an unforgettable era. Yet surprisingly, that wasn't where their story ended. The Olympic gold medalists didn't step away from the spotlight. Instead, they stepped into an entirely different one. The ice rink was replaced by television cameras. The competition arena gave way to photo studios and commercial sets. After reaching the highest point in figure skating, they quietly began climbing a completely different mountain. Soon, fans saw them smiling together on Airweave mattresses, laughing as they relaxed for the commercial. Then came another surprise. Wearing elegant Bulgari jewelry beneath a bright blue sky, Riku and Ruichi performed one of their signature lifts, not during competition, but in a luxury fashion campaign. Who could have imagined that their post-retirement journey would unfold in such an extraordinary way? By the end of this story, you'll understand why Rikuryu continues to captivate audiences not only across Japan, but around the world. And you'll discover why simply watching these two stand together in front of a camera still moves people so deeply. The reason isn't just their skating skills. It isn't only their Olympic titles. It's something they built over 7 unforgettable years together. Later, we'll explore why two completely different global brands, Bulgari and Eyoiv, both chose Rikuryu, and what kind of future the pair is quietly creating beyond competitive skating. But first, let's go back to the beginning. April 2026 became a date that figure skating fans will never forget. Only 2 months earlier, Rikuryu had captured Japan's first-ever Olympic gold medal in pair skating at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. They produced a breathtaking free skate worth a world record 158.13 points, finishing with a total score of 231.2 and securing their place in history. Then came the announcement. Their competitive career was over. During the retirement press conference, Ruichi Kihara repeatedly fought back tears. Riku gently smiled and told him, "Don't cry." But her own eyes soon became red as well. 7 years of shared victories, heartbreaks, injuries, sacrifices, and dreams were all reflected in that emotional moment. Fans watching online couldn't believe it. So soon, I wanted to see them skate just one more time. When they said they had accomplished everything they wanted, those words carried so much weight. Social media quickly filled with emotional reactions from supporters around the world. But their retirement also raised an even bigger question. What happens after you've already reached the top? For many elite athletes, retirement is one of life's greatest challenges. Without competitions, without goals, and without the daily pursuit of victory, many struggle to find a new purpose. Sports history is filled with champions who found retirement harder than competition itself. Once you've experienced the highest peak, everything afterward can seem strangely empty. Yet Rikuryu chose a completely different path. Instead of fading from public attention, they began writing a remarkable second chapter. And in many ways, that new chapter has become every bit as inspiring as their years on competitive ice. This is where the true power of the Rikuryu brand becomes clear. They don't need to force anything. They don't need to create an image. What people see today is something that was refined naturally over 7 years together. It's not an act. It's simply who they are. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. In Japanese sports, very few athletes have launched a second career as smoothly and successfully as Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara. For most athletes, retirement marks the beginning of uncertainty. Once competition ends, the clear goal they've chased for years disappears. Finding a new identity often takes time. Many spend years searching for what comes next, but Rikuryu seemed ready from the very first day. The moment one chapter closed, another had already begun. Why? One reason, I believe, is that long before retirement, they had already built something much bigger than a successful skating partnership. Whether consciously or not, they had created a brand. Every morning they trained together. They ate meals together. They played games together. They went through rehabilitation together. Those ordinary moments slowly became something extraordinary. Day after day, year after year, they built a relationship that went far beyond medals and championships. That relationship became Rikuryu. And unlike a competitive career, a genuine relationship doesn't disappear when the skates come off. It continues to shine. There's another reason both Airweave and Bulgari were drawn to them. Rikuryu can't be defined by a single image. On the ice, they balance strength with elegance, power with grace, precision with artistry, intensity with tenderness. And now, away from competition, they display the same remarkable range. In one campaign, they're relaxing comfortably on a mattress, laughing like any ordinary couple of close friends after a long day. In another, they're wearing luxury jewelry beneath an open sky, creating images worthy of an international fashion magazine. Few people can move so naturally between those two worlds. That versatility makes them incredibly valuable to brands. They possess the credibility of elite athletes, the expressive ability of artists, and above all, the warmth that comes from a relationship people know is completely genuine. Finding all three qualities in the same ambassadors is exceptionally rare. One advertising industry expert reportedly summarized it perfectly. What they possess isn't just a pair of world-class athletic bodies. It's a story shaped over 7 years. Today's consumers don't simply buy products, they buy stories. And Rikuryu's story is more powerful than anything a copywriter could ever invent. That observation captures the essence of modern marketing. No matter how innovative a product may be, it won't truly connect with people unless it carries an emotional story. Riku and Ruichi already have that story. 7 years of relentless practice, countless injuries, painful setbacks, remarkable comebacks, and ultimately Olympic gold. Every experience is written into their expressions, their movements, and the way they look at each other. That's why the camera never has to create chemistry. It simply records what's already there. And that's why audiences instinctively believe what they see. So let's ask the question again. Why did Bulgari and Eyoiv choose Rikuryu? To answer that, we have to return to one basic truth about advertising. Most people think advertisements exist to sell products. That's only partly true, especially in the luxury world. Luxury brands don't sell jewelry. They sell aspiration. They sell emotion. They sell a dream people hope to become part of. For more than 140 years, Bulgari hasn't simply offered necklaces and rings. It has offered the idea that wearing its creations makes your own life feel like part of an extraordinary story. Airweave has built its reputation in much the same way. It doesn't simply market premium mattresses. It represents the kind of sleep trusted by the world's greatest performers, people whose bodies demand absolute recovery. Viewed from that perspective, it suddenly becomes obvious why both companies chose Rikuryu at exactly the same moment. Because Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara already embody the kind of story those brands want to tell. And when you look back at their journey, it's hard not to see just how extraordinary that story really is. In the summer of 2019, Ruichi Kihara was preparing to walk away from skating. He was working part-time at a skating rink in Nagoya while seriously considering retirement. Shoulder injuries, repeated disappointments, partnerships that had ended. One setback after another had convinced him that his competitive career was over. At nearly the same time, 17-year-old Riku Miura was facing her own uncertainty. Her previous partnership wasn't working, and she questioned whether her future in pair skating would ever unfold the way she had dreamed. Their meeting almost never happened. Just before Kihara was ready to leave the rink for good, coach Bruno Marcotte reportedly called out to him with a simple request. "Ruichi, put your skates back on." That single moment changed everything. Kihara stepped onto the ice one more time. He performed a twist lift with Riku, and without either of them realizing it, the next 7 years of history had just begun. What followed was a journey that almost seemed destined. They relocated to Oakville, Canada. 5 days every week, training began at 8 o'clock in the morning. Year after year, they pushed themselves further than ever before. At the 2022 Beijing Olympics, they achieved Japan's best-ever Olympic result in pair skating at the time. In 2023, they captured the Grand Prix final, the Four Continents Championships, and the World Championships, completing Japan's first-ever Grand Slam in pair skating. Then came the crowning achievement. At the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics, they delivered a historic free skate worth 158.13 points and finished with a total score of 231.2 to win Japan's first Olympic gold medal in pair skating. 7 years. Think about everything contained within those 7 years. Every early morning, every injury, every rehabilitation session, every disappointment, every sacrifice, every tear, every victory. Brands recognized something priceless within that journey. When people watched the Airweave commercial, many realized it wasn't really about a mattress. It was about finally allowing two people who had pushed their bodies beyond every imaginable limit to simply rest. After years of relentless training, after Kihara battled lumbar spondylolysis, after countless painful recoveries. The image of them lying comfortably together and smiling as they said, "This feels amazing," became far more than a product demonstration. It became a symbol that, after years of fighting for Olympic glory, they had finally reached a place where they could simply breathe, relax, and enjoy the reward they had earned. That is what Airweave truly chose, not just world-class athletes, but two people who had earned the right to finally rest. What Airweave recognized wasn't just two Olympic champions. They recognized two athletes who had spent 7 years pushing their bodies to the absolute limit. From a marketing perspective, it was a brilliant decision. But beyond the strategy, there was something else. There was genuine respect for everything Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara had endured to reach the top. Bulgari's decision carried that same depth. The July issue, featuring Rikuryu's collaboration with Bulgari, presented an image unlike any other, one where elegance and strength existed in perfect harmony. Beneath a brilliant blue sky, Ruichi lifted Riku high into the air. There was no skating rink, no competition, just an ordinary outdoor setting transformed into something extraordinary. Around Riku's neck sparkled a Bulgari necklace. Supporting her effortlessly were Ruichi's arms strengthened through 7 years of relentless training and unwavering trust. Bulgari wasn't simply showcasing beautiful jewelry. It was expressing a philosophy the company has embraced for more than a century. True beauty isn't created overnight. It is refined through time, through patience, through craftsmanship, through countless small decisions made over many years. Isn't that exactly what Rikuryu represents? For 7 years, they polished not only their technique, but also their relationship. Every practice session, every setback, every comeback, every performance, each experience added another layer to who they became. Few people could embody Bulgari's philosophy more naturally than they could. So let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. Did Bulgari and Eyoiv make the wrong decision? Was this simply smart marketing, or was it a heartfelt tribute to two world champions? Perhaps the answer is all three. From a business perspective, the decision was unquestionably successful. Immediately after retirement, Rikuryu remained one of the most recognizable figure skating pairs in Japan and around the world. The excitement surrounding their Olympic gold medal was still fresh in people's minds. Their influence across social media rivaled that of many active athletes. Bulgari's collaboration received enormous attention online, with tens of thousands of interactions within the first day. Airweave's commercial quickly spread across social media as fans commented, "They're unbelievably adorable. I never imagined retirement could look this joyful." The exposure exceeded even the brand's expectations, but reducing their success to marketing alone would overlook something much more meaningful. The slogan Bulgari chose for the campaign was simple, "From a fateful meeting to the top of the world." The moment people read those words, they weren't thinking about jewelry. They were thinking about Nagoya in 2019, about the day Bruno Marcotte encouraged Ruichi to lace up his skates one more time, about the chance encounter that changed both of their lives forever. Likewise, when viewers watched Airweave's commercial and saw the pair smiling on a mattress, many couldn't help but remember the years of injuries, rehabilitation, and sacrifice that made that moment of rest so meaningful. Of course, brands build campaigns around stories. That's what marketing does. But when the story is completely real, when every chapter actually happened, it becomes something more than advertising. It becomes respect. Instead of inventing a fictional narrative around celebrities, Bulgari and Eyoiv chose two people whose story had already inspired millions. That decision sits at the perfect intersection of commercial success and genuine admiration. There's another important point that's easy to overlook. It's actually quite rare for retired athletes to receive major advertising campaigns immediately after ending their careers. For many athletes, retirement is followed by silence. Media attention fades. Public appearances become less frequent. The spotlight moves on. Yet both Bulgari and Eyoiv turned that pattern upside down. Rather than seeing retirement as the end of a career, they treated it as the beginning of an entirely new story. In doing so, they demonstrated a new possibility, not only for sports marketing, but for athletes themselves. Victory doesn't have to be the final chapter. Sometimes, the most meaningful story begins after the medals have already been won. Riku once reflected on this new stage of life by saying, "Even after retirement, whenever we're together, we naturally find ourselves smiling. Even if it isn't skating anymore, it still feels like we're doing something together." Ruichi shared a similar thought. "If Riku hadn't been there, I wouldn't be the person I am today. That won't change just because skating has ended." Those aren't ordinary words. They're the kind of words that can only exist after 7 years of complete trust, shared dreams, and unwavering partnership. When Bulgari told a story about timeless beauty, and Airweave told a story about true rest and recovery, both brands were ultimately celebrating the very same truth. Riku Miura and Ruichi Kihara spent 7 years creating something authentic. That authenticity didn't disappear when they retired. If anything, retirement gave their story even greater depth. So let me leave you with one final question. What does retirement really mean? Is it the end, or is it simply the beginning of another journey? The spring of 2026 gave us a beautiful answer. After becoming Olympic champions, silence didn't follow. Instead, there were photo shoots, new dreams, new opportunities. There was laughter on an Airweave mattress. There was elegance beneath Bulgari jewelry. And above all, there remained the same quiet connection between two people who had already shared the most extraordinary journey imaginable. Bulgari and Eyoiv didn't make a mistake, nor were they motivated by marketing alone. They simply recognized the value of a story that had already been written through 7 unforgettable years of dedication, sacrifice, and trust. And perhaps that was one of the most remarkable stories of all to emerge in the spring of 2026. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Which Rikuryu collaboration did you enjoy more, Bulgari or Airweave? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.